All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to the first of many of my videos here on CoolStuffInc.com, my new home for Magic content on the web. You get me on a video on Mondays and an article on Fridays, and I'm amped. First video here is going to be Dredge. This is a deck that I have a good amount of experience with. I've played this deck in its various forms in Modern for a while. Of course, Golgari Grave Troll was unbanned for a while, surprisingly. And Dredge was very, very good. And the Dredge decks looked mostly like this, obviously with a few differences. And it was so good to the point where it got banned again. But even without Golgari Grave Troll, I had played this deck to a good amount of success a while back. I know there was a period where me and Ben Friedman were playing this deck a lot. And kind of has fallen off in the last 6 months to a year as it's a little slower than the rest of the format. Tron's playing Karn on turn 3, Storm is killing you on turn 3 and 4. In fact, all the various combo decks, the various graveyard-based decks like Hollow One and the Vengevine decks were presenting more broken starts, and Dredge got left behind a little bit. Dredge is more of like a turn 4.5 kind of deck where it's not going to kill you extremely fast, but it's very resilient. And the other graveyard options were mostly doing what the Dredge deck wanted to do, but faster. So why are we looking at Dredge then if it's kind of fallen off the metagame? Well, Guild to Ravnica and the Dimir Guild in particular has given Dredge quite the new tool. So Creeping Chill is 4 mana sorcery. Mana cost doesn't really matter much here. And much like Narcomoeba, when it is milled off the top of your deck, usually through dredging, but occasionally through Shriekhorn, you get to cast it for free. And what is it? It's basically just a lightning helix that must target your opponent. So 3 to them, you gain 3. Now, it doesn't sound like a huge effect. You know, when you think of Dredge, you think of, I'm going to cast Cathartic Reunion on turn 2, and I'm going to put a bunch of power in play. How do we do that? Quick rundown. All the Dredge cards, Dredge replaces your draw step. So Dredge 5, if you would draw a card, you can instead Dredge and draw this card out of your graveyard and put 5 more cards in your graveyard. And by using that in conjunction with cards like Faithless Looting and cards like Cathartic Reunion, we can put a bunch of cards in our graveyard really, really, really fast, which allows us to cast Narcomoeba for free out of our graveyard. I mean, play, it's trigger. And then Bloodghast as well. And then that triggers our Prized Amalgam, which also comes back from the graveyard whenever something else comes back. And you end up where you have, 13 power in play on turn 2. The deck is also very resilient because it has cards like Life from Loam to get back lands, which can fuel Conflagrate and kill a bunch of small creatures, kill your opponent, etc. Flashback on looting is also very, very good. So the core of the deck is there, but Creeping Chill adds an extra element to it, where against an aggressive deck, it gives you like a 6-point life buffer, where maybe we're not killing them till turn 5, but that extra 3 to 6 life we're going to get off our Creeping Chills is going to allow us to get there. And then conversely, in your combo matchups, in matchups where you need to be much faster, combo control decks, all of a sudden they're starting the game at 14 life instead of 20 because of your Creeping Chills. And now our Bloodghasts are on faster, so they can have haste and attack right out of the graveyard immediately. And then our Conflagrates will be getting lethal faster as well. So basically we're just speeding the deck up by maybe a half a turn to perhaps even a full turn, which is a major, major deal in a format as fast and volatile as Modern. So for the most part, the list is pretty standard otherwise. Like I said, we have our recursion elements in Prized Amalgam, Narcomoeba, and Bloodghast. We have our draw effects in Faithless Looting and Cathartic Reunion. We have our dredgers, of course, in Stinkweed Imp, Life from Loam, and then Golgari Thug, which, Dredge 4 isn't great, but don't have access to the troll we'd like. Sideboard's very interesting in Dredge. So in most sideboards, you build your deck against your opponent's deck, right? You build your sideboard against your opponent's sideboard. You bring in cards like Nature's Claim if they have enchantments, and if they're playing a graveyard deck, you bring in Leyline of the Void. Whereas Dredge, interestingly enough, sideboards against our opponent's sideboard. We don't really care about what they're doing, because our goal is to do our stuff really broken and fast, but the sideboard cards that our opponents are going to bring in against us are devastating. Rest in Peace, Leyline of the Void, Relic of Eternitus, all these backbreaking anti-graveyard cards. So in a lot of ways, the cards we're bringing in are to counteract the cards they're bringing in so we can keep doing our thing. A big one here is Nature's Claim. It is the cheapest and only 1 mana. destroys Rest in Peace, Leyline of the Void, Relic of Progenitus, Grafdigger's Cage, etc. We also have Assassin's Trophy, which can do a similar thing, but the flexibility of being able to kill a Scavenging Ooze or a Tarmogoyf for other things is very versatile. Then we have Ancient Grudge, which can also tag your relics and your cages. Our actual sideboard cards, which we're going to bring in against things that aren't just hate, are Leylines for the Mirror and other graveyard decks. Make sure they don't have a graveyard. Darkblast and Lightning Axe are excellent tools against decks with small creatures and then with other creatures. Opening a game on Lightning Axe to start our engine and kill their first creature is fantastic. So it's very, very good. Then we have one Ghost Quarter against the Tron decks where we can, mill over a lot of our deck and get it back with life from Loam. So for the most part, the list is pretty stock, but the real exciting thing here is Creeping Chill. So that's the card that pushes us over the edge. So let's jump in. We're going to play a League, and we'll see how it goes. Dredge is a very complicated deck. Is very difficult to play. There are a lot of very interesting sequencing issues with the deck. How you want to lay out your things. It's also a very confusing deck to play in paper because you have to lay out your cards in weird ways and stuff. Magic Online doing it for you is kind of nice. So let's jump right in. And the things we're going to be looking for is, this is a deck that mulligans kind of aggressively. Like most linear decks in Modern, this is a deck that wants to have a certain subset of cards rather than just a quantity of cards. A lot of the time, the quantity of cards that are in your hand actually doesn't matter very much because you're going to draw a Narcomoeba or a Creeping Chill or that, third Conflagrate or whatever it is that you just don't really need when we're mostly just looking for certain cards. So Faithless Looting and Cathartic Reunion are the most important cards for getting our engine going. And we also need a Dredge card. Again, obviously that's our engine in general, so it's important to get that going too, excuse me. And yeah, so obviously nothing too interesting about this hand as far as mulligan decisions. Usually you wouldn't keep a 6-lander in almost any deck, so you get a mulligan. Same thing. Now, this goes to show that these are the cards that it's interesting because they're essentially blank in your hand. This is essentially a 4-card hand because these cards, you almost never want to cast them. And further worse than that is that these cards are actually worse in your hand than they are in your deck because we can't hit them, obviously. The higher density we have of cards to dredge into, the better it is. So this hand would actually be better as a 4-card hand than a 6-card hand. So this hand's obviously also terrible. I mean, we got some pretty rough hands to start here. Again, this is basically a 3-card hand because, again, these cards are bad. But at this point, I don't think you can go much further. And Faithless Looting will go a long way to save our draw, hopefully. So we're on the draw here. We're going to keep Scribe, any non-dredge card to the bottom. And we're not in great shape here, I'm not going to lie. Basic Plains. Okay. Now, one of the most important things about your opening hands with Dredge is you really need to have 2 lands, and one of them needs to be green. Because once you start getting past your first turn or two, you're going to hit a point where, actually we're going to try to fetch the green right now. You're going to hit a point where you aren't ever drawing a card again, but you are getting the card Life from the Loam back very often. And once you have Life from the Loam, you can get back a bunch of lands. But without green mana, you obviously can't Life from the Loam. So, all right, so we're going to looting here. We have a Bloodghast, discard 2 Bloodghast. All right, this is not a particularly good opening. We have no Dredge cards. We do have 2 Bloodghast, though, so it's sort of a fair graveyard start. Plains is a pretty weird opening on turn 1. I'm not going to lie. All right, it looks like a human deck. Humans deck that just drew a Plains. Could also be some sort of Death and Taxes deck. Dahlia can be definitely annoying. Man, talk about your fail states. All right, so I mean, we're going to be playing a Foothills and just saying go. We're going to fetch out a land on their turn. We're going to bring back these Bloodghasts, and quite frankly, we're looking pretty. We could actually just cast Narcomoeba here. Actually, yeah, let's do that. We have a Steam Vents in our deck to cast our blue cards when necessary. This is not your ideal scenario. Dredge is a deck where the variety of your hands is quite wide. Your good hands are going to be exceedingly good, and your bad hands are going to be tough, and a lot of the skill of Dredge is making sure your bad hands play okay. All right, so they are playing a Taxes deck. They've played an Arbiter, and now they can Ghost Quarter us without us being able to search, which stinks because they can kill our green source. That's pretty bad for us. So we are severely hampered here and are in pretty big trouble. All right, we drew a green source. That's pretty cool. So we're going to swing. They can obviously block a Bloodghast at first strike, but we can just play a land to get it back. Always attack with your Bloodghast before playing your land, because even blocks like this, that look bad aren't actually bad. You take 3. We get to cast another Narcomoeba if you get back a Bloodghast. Again, this is not ideal, but these are the kind of games that you have to win if you're going to play Dredge. You're taking the games that you're going to blow your opponent out by putting 14 power in play on turn 2, and then you're understanding that sometimes you're going to have to win games that look like this. Which ain't pretty, but it's your job to get the job done. And honestly, we're not in terrible shape here. I mean, they haven't done much. They're at 14. Get the draw here. And Conflagrate is good. Unfortunately, it costs 4 to kill Thalia. So we're just going to run it back. And then the question is, flashing back looting also costs 4. Yep, so we're just going to attack. And we could put the Conflagrate in the graveyard by casting it for 0. One of the things about this card is you can play it X equals 0. It just casts a 1 red sorcery if it does nothing. But that's a way to put it into your graveyard, so you can flash it back later. They're now at 10. So our Bloodghast will have haste, which is cool. We put this in the graveyard, and then next turn we can discard a card or 2 to kill Thalia or something else. Maybe a Flicker Wisp or something, whatever they're going to play. We are pressuring them. If we draw a land, we can also hard cast the Conflagrate. This is one of those minor decision points that makes this deck tough in games like this where we're not just blowing our opponent out. All right, we're gonna bring back Bloodghast, and I think we're gonna cast Conflagrate for 0 and just put it in the graveyard. Actually, it's going to have to be for 2, not 1. But never been a fan of these Taxes decks in Modern. I think they're severely underpowered. Even with them having their ideal draw of Arbiter, Wasteland, Thalia, and us mulliganing to 5 and our hand being terrible, I don't actually feel that behind this game, which is astounding, honestly. Our best possible draw here would definitely be... All right, never mind. So another Wasteland from our opponent. We're apparently playing Legacy now. That's extremely hampering. Thalia plus 2 Wastelands. But, this is a card that allows you to not search your library unless you pay 2. So in conjunction with Ghost Quarter, it's a Wasteland effect. And that's really, really, really bad for us. But we're still kicking. They've also lost their land drops too. Drawing a land here is fine. Alright, that's actually quite good. So the fetch land allows us to get a green again. It allows 2 triggers for Bloodghast, which is important to note. And we could actually cast this Conflagrate on this Thalia and just get in for 6 here. Although that would waste our land drop triggers. Actually, we can't fetch with the Arbiter in play, never mind. So we got to pay for that. So, all right, well, yeah, we're just going to attack and then recur our Bloodghast post-combat and just keep going. They go to a healthy 6. All right, Bloodghast is back. They do have 4 cards in hand and a Vial now, so now the Vial going up to 2 and 3, that's the range where it actually does something. So, we'll see. We'll see. Planes attack with both. Interesting. All right. I mean, theoretically, we can Conflagrate for 2 next turn. Flicker Wisp. Yeah. Sure. I mean, we get to Conflagrate both the Flicker Wisp and the Thalia next turn and theoretically kill them. So end of turn, we're going to pay 2 and fetch. Arbiter's a weird card. You gotta pay for the Arbiter first. Don't fetch and think you can trigger it. It's not a trigger. You gotta pay for it first. Very, very awkward card, especially online. Alright, I mean, once they have a good 2-drop here to surprise us with. Feeling pretty good here. I mean, everything's face up, so you have to be wary of what your opponent's doing because everything's face up right now. I tapped the blue. All right. This is what you wanted. Here we are. Aether Vial. It's another Thalia. It's a Selfless Spirit. All right, that makes sense. Okay. Well, that's pretty devastating. So now we don't have any safe attacks. All right. Kind of hard to play around that, honestly. I mean, I don't think Selfless Spirit's a very commonly played card in these Taxes decks. It is what it is. You know, we're not really at a point where the power level of our cards is giving us the opportunity to play around anything, so. It is pretty comical, though, how close this game has been, despite us having, gotta say, bottom 10% of our draws. You know, we hard cast 2 Narcomoebas, and we haven't really done anything else. Brought some Bloodghast back. Like, I would say there are probably draft decks that could have beaten this draw from us. Alright, I mean, we have to block the Flicker Wisp or we're dead, so. Not sure what we can draw here. They're Flicker Wisping, they're Flicker Wisp. We go to 3. They're gonna hit our Bloodghast probably, so we can't attack with it because it'll come back on our end step. This game is effectively over, and I don't think we have any outs anymore. Alright, so obviously not a great game there. I mean, it's still astounding how close that game was because our hand was almost completely unplayable. But unfortunately, that's one of the stinky things about Dredge is that when you lose that game 1, you're usually going to win most of your game 1s because your opponent's not equipped to handle what you're doing with their graveyard hate. But losing a game 1 like that, where you're like mulling into 5 and your hand's not very good, makes things really tough because they're going to have a lot of, you know, Rest in Peace and all these cards post sideboard where you're not a favorite anymore. But all right, so we're going to bring in some number of these. When you sideboard with Dredge, this is one of the hardest parts of a deck, is you need to be shaving down on the elements of your deck because you can't afford to take too much out or a deck ceases to function. So you usually end up trimming a card here and there. So for example, we're going to cut Creeping Chill is a card that gets a lot worse in post-sideboard games when there's graveyard hate involved because you're not really looking, you need more things that do things. You know, while this is a powerful effect that makes things good when things are going good, when you're getting graveyard hated on, you just can't afford to draw too many of these. I'm going to shave 2 of these. We're going to bring these Darkblast too, because Darkblast is just a lot better than Thug. Cut the Thugs. Usually end up shaving a Narcomoeba. I could shave. Let's see, we have two trophies, claims. I think I actually don't mind cutting all the chills. We're not really racing in this matchup. Our goal is to ensure that we don't lose to their creatures, and our goal is going to be to ensure that we can answer their hate. On a power level scale, they can't match us at all without their hate cards because they're just playing crappy 2/2s for 2. So we're not really racing. Our life total doesn't need to be higher and theirs doesn't need to be lower. We just need to be able to do our thing. So this works for me. Man. Is there like a first video curse here on CoolStuffInc.com? I'll have to talk to Evan Irwin about that. See if first-time video producers are cursed. Sure looks like it. I think that's actually fun. So, as I said, our criteria for keeping hands is mostly going to be we want to have at least 2 lands, one of which is green, and then a dredge card, and then a red card. We're obviously lacking the land here, but this is fine. So we're gonna keep. Sweet, perfect. Kinda. So we're gonna. Unfortunately, we have a fetch land. Obviously, we'll lose our card off the scry. I don't think we can afford to not fetch though. We're gonna top this and just we're gonna lose it, so it's fine. Opponent keeps 7. So we're gonna open on Shriekhorn. Shriekhorn, or is it looting? One of the important things, like I said, is that once you start dredging, you're not gonna draw any more cards, so you will never draw a land. And you need to have 2 lands to have your Loam going. So I think we're actually gonna looting first. I would like to Shriekhorn and start trying to find dredgers so we can dredge, but we're not at a point where we can do that. And we already have another looting. You want to get the cards in the graveyard, then try and use your red cards to dredge aggressively. We don't have that option yet. We draw another looting, another Shriekhorn. Wow. All right, so Narcomoeba is obviously worthless. The second Shriekhorn is not very good either. So again, not a great start. Not a great start at all. But the nice thing about Shriekhorn is that it does allow you to play around Rest in Peace a little bit, because you can. There's Nature's Claim. All right, because you can leave it in play, and one of the important things is you not only need to kill their hate card, you need to also restart your engine. So if you've already put cards in the graveyard and they eat them all Rest in Peace, you need to be able to put cards back in the graveyard and then start dredging. We haven't actually seen a card with Dredge yet, so we'll work on that. But all right, so we're gonna looting here, try and find this land. Okay, we found our elusive second land. Discard Narcomoeba, and then I think we're going to pitch the Assassin's Trophy because we already have the Nature's Claim. I don't think that 2 hate pieces are necessary, and I'm very interested in being able to Shriekhorn and then looting after the next turn. Very important to sequence out your turns with this deck. All right, play that. I think we're actually going to play the Shriekhorn because I don't want to fetch a second green. Actually, maybe I do because they have Ghost Quarters and stuff. Yeah, we're going to play Shriekhorn. If they have a Rest in Peace, we're going to lose our graveyard. That's fine. And next turn we can go Nature's Claim and then Shriekhorn and then looting. So let's get our second green source to protect our green source against Ghost Quarter and things like that. Now let's play Shriekhorn and just say go and see what happens. They have Rest in Peace. They will likely slam it on turn 2 here. Tectonic Edge. An important thing to remember is that your Shriekhorn timing is very important because of how Thalia. That's annoying. Because of how your Prized Amalgams and Narcomoebas interact. So Prized Amalgam triggers, so it comes back at the end of turn. But if you Shriekhorn yourself and it's already the end of their turn, it won't come back till the next end of turn step, which is yours. So you want to do your Shriekhorning on your opponent's second main phase. Shriekhorning hits Conflagrate, Blood Crypt. Alright, so we are still going to untap. We're going to upkeep Shriekhorn. Again, it is possible they have Rest in Peace, but at this point, I don't think we can really afford to play around it. Upkeep again, looking for a Dredge card. Hit 2 life from a Loam. So now we get the Dredge Loam. You put a Prized Amalgam and a Loam in the graveyard. And now we're going to cast Looting and dredge some cards and try and hit Narcomoeba. Again, as I said with the first hand, unfortunately, you don't want to draw these cards because there's a less of a probability you'll find one later. We drew 2. Kind of stinks, but we're going to let it ride here and see how it goes. So first draw is going to be a Dredging Life from a Loam. That was lucky. Now we're going to hit Dredge a Stinkweed Imp and try and find a Narcomoeba. Did not find it. So we'll discard the Imp and the Loam, put the Dredge cards back in our graveyard, and unfortunately we're going to pass the turn and pray they don't have a Rest in Peace. Leon Arbiter Ghost Quarter would also be difficult. Alright, that's one half of it. Okay, no Ghost Quarter, it looks like. Okay, so we are still doing our thing here. So now, upkeep, we have a Shriekhorn and a draw step. The way to sequence it is you want to dredge first. So if you hit a Narcomoeba, you can Shriekhorn yourself in response. If you Shriekhorn yourself now and hit Narcomoeba, then that Narcomoeba can't get back prized amalgams that were dredged on your draw step. So a draw step is not instant speed, the Shriekhorn is, so you're better off drawing first. So we're going to draw with Stinkweed Imp, hit another prized amalgam, and we whiffed again. Alright, so unfortunately there's not much else to do but just fire off Shriekhorn again. We're locked off of casting Life from a Loam. We can't cast Conflagrate because of Thalia. We were not able to build our mana base before Thalia came down. And our plays are pretty forced at this point. We could Nature's Claim this with Aether Vial. It might be a safe play, given that at this point they're unlikely to have Rest in Peace. They would have slammed it already. And this furthers our development, so I think we're actually going to kill that. So let's Shriekhorn ourselves first. Try and hit Narcomoeba. We did it. Sweet. So now we get to actually do some stuff. So now this comes back, triggers amalgams. This is a delayed trigger. So this trigger will resolve at the end of my turn to put the amalgams back in. And then we're going to Nature's Claim the Aether Vial. They have a Selfless Spirit. Okay. So our amalgams come back, and now we have a little bit of an army. So now we're actually doing something, which is nice. Our 3/3s obviously line up well with their 2/2s. Unfortunately, we're still not able to really get things set up. This is the point in the game where usually we would start casting Life from a Loam. Returning lands, playing more lands, getting more cards in hand for Conflagrate. The problem is with this Thalia in play, we just can't actually have enough mana to do anything. But we also can't really risk just taking a natural draw, because if we try and draw a land, our odds of doing so are not great. And every time we try and draw a land, we're not dredging. So not a really enviable spot for us to be in. Not really sure what they're up to here. They are attacking and tapping mana in combat. They have a Path to Exile. Okay. They pathed the Narcomoeba, which is peculiar. All right. We also can't even bring back an imp to cast it. We don't have mana to do that. All right, big money. That's a miss. I think we need to leave back one amalgam. I mean, we're basically in a world of hurt here, honestly. We're sort of seeing the problem that I was describing earlier. When you only have one land in play, you can't cast Life from a Loam. And when you can't cast Life from a Loam, you can't get things really, really rolling. Thalia is sort of proving that element of we can't cast Life from a Loam, so we're kind of just sitting here dredging and hoping. Whereas normally we'd be casting Life from a Loam and drawing cards, and it'd be great. So Burrington Forge Tender to counter our Conflagrates. Oh, can't cast them anyway, so Dredge 5 again. I mean, now we are basically dead on board, so we attack, they attack back, we block one and go to 1. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this has been a pretty tough first match, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, game 1 was very silly, and then this game, our hand has not really come together. You know, we drew a lot of Narcomoebas. Thalia just really shut us down. I think this is actually a very good matchup. I want to say draw Rest in Peace, but things don't always fall your way. Dredge is a deck with a lot of moving parts, and occasionally you just don't put them together properly. Alright, Dredge Stinkweed Imp. Nope. Ten cards left. Yeah, we're effectively dead at this point. So, all right. Fortunately, first match there. Again, I think it's a very good matchup. But Dredge, for all the power you get to wield, also has a fail state, and that was a pretty good example of Dredge's fail state. So let's run that back and try that again. Currently recording this video before SCG Dallas Fort Worth this weekend. I'm undecided on what I'm going to play. I'm currently between this deck, the Holy Diva Red Prowess deck, which is pretty good. Still working on that one. And then possibly Tron as well. So we'll see. Obviously, this video will have gone up after the tournament, so you guys take a look and see how I did. This is kind of what I was talking about. Whereas if this Creeping Chill was a Dredge card, this hand is perfect. But again, we have a hand where we don't really have any Dredge cards, but this hand's still fine. The best card in the deck is by far Cathartic Reunion. This is the card that can do the most damage the fastest. This is the card that leads to you having 14 power on turn 2 a lot. So we're on the play. We have a Looting and 2 Cathartics. We're pretty happy with this hand. We need to find things, but we have the tools to find them, so we're okay. All right, Stomping Ground, Looting, Bloodghast, Creeping Chill. Good thing about Cathartic Reunion also is that the card does not need to be discarded beforehand. If we draw a Stinkweed Imp next turn, we can still go off. So Island Aether Vial. We are in the Merfolk bracket. All right, there we are. Now we can do some stuff. Let's go here. So we get Bloodghast back, and now we get to cast Cathartic Reunion safely. They can't spell Curse Catcher it. We're gonna discard our Stinkweed Imp and a Conflagrate, and we're gonna start going nuts. So now we have 3 draws to replace. Ideally, this Stinkweed Imp's gonna hit some Dredge cards. We can keep going. If it doesn't, that kind of stinks. But you know, first draw is Stinkweed Imp. We hit another Stinkweed Imp. Excellent. Second draw, Stinkweed Imp. Hit a Thug. Excellent. Third draw, Thug. All right, so we hit a Bloodghast, 2 Amalgams. We have a Looting in there, Conflagrate. No life from a Loam, which is kind of stinky. But the good news is that we have another Cathartic Reunion. We also have a Dakmor Salvage, which is great. So we can get that back next turn and get the Bloodghast back. So absolute worst case scenario, they have a Curse Catcher to counter my next Reunion. If they don't, we're probably going to dredge our entire deck. And if they do, we still get to get back our Salvage and bring back Bloodghast and bring back the Amalgams. Ooh, never mind, we're playing against humans. That's a very sneaky opening. Humans decks play 1 island and 1 plains. So an uncommon opening of Island Aether Vial from a humans deck. Our opponent is actually Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wow. Freebooter is also pretty devastating because there you can take our Cathartic Reunion, which is the best card in our hand by a mile. Now we need to put some thought into what we're going to do this turn. Now, our only dredge card is Dakmor Salvage, so we're going to dredge that, get back our Bloodghast. We can Conflagrate here, and we can kill these 2 creatures. They might have a Meddling Mage or Kite Sail for future stuff, but let's dredge first and see what happens. So we hit nothing, essentially. So I'm pretty happy to Conflagrate here and just kill both these creatures. Discard all these dredge cards in our hand, play land, get back our stuff, and get rolling. And then if they have a way to stop our Cathartic next turn... Well, actually, we're not going to be able to cast Cathartic next turn because we're not going to have enough cards in our hand to do it. But we can flashback Looting though. That's fine. So let's Conflagrate 2 and 2. Red. Conflagrate, one of the most important cards of the deck. This is the deck that the card that actually makes the deck work because it allows us to interact with the board very well. Get that back, get these back, get this back. That triggers the Amalgams. So now we get to attack for 2, and we have 10 power in play. So they have nothing, we have 10 power. Pretty big swing. That's kind of the cool thing too, is that Dredge is a lot more interactive than it seems. It doesn't interact with spells very well. Decks like Storm or Ad Nauseam or things like that. Tron also. But it interacts with creatures really well, mostly due to the card Conflagrate. You know, if you're able to fireball your opponent's entire team on turn 2 or 3, like that was just a 2-for-1 essentially. We killed 2 other creatures while bringing our stuff back. It's just a huge tempo play. All right, so we're gonna dredge Stinkweed Imp here. We're gonna hit a Narco, which is fine. Put that into play. Now casting Stinkweed Imp isn't even that bad, but we're gonna want to flashback our Looting here and dredge more. Do we do it before or after combat? They have a Violent too. If they had Thalia, they would put it in play already. If they have Athalia's Lieutenant, doesn't really matter. If they have a Phantasmal Image, doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, we're going to just attack first because they're at 18. Sure. Again, Cathartic Reunion is very, very powerful, but a little tough because you got to discard 2 cards. So this card's actually currently uncastable with only 1 extra card in our hand. This might be an image to block the Amalgam with an Amalgam or block a Bloodghast. Yep, okay. Just, you know, casual zombie illusion. All right, so we get in for a solid 8. We flashback our looting. We're going to dredge some more. Something about a life from a Loam, which is interesting. You know, we're halfway through our deck already, but there they are. Loam, Bloodghast. All right, so we're going to go Stinkweed Imp. Then we're going to discard Imp, and then Imp. We have another Conflagrate in our graveyard. Bring back Narcomoeba. From this point, we're looking pretty good. Conflagrate is obviously good against the Phantasmal Image because any target will destroy it, so we only have to target it for 1 damage to kill it. So we're getting to the point now where we're going to set up one of the common plays of this deck, which is Dredge Life from Loam, cast it, play a 4th land, and then get back, what's it called? A Conflagrate. Reflector Mage. Definitely an annoying card, but does turn on our Cathartic Reunion. So I think what we're actually going to do here is we're going to take 4. There are 10, so all of our Bloodghast do have haste. So we can dredge the remainder of our deck here. We have not hit any Creeping Chills. That's incredible. We had 1 on our opening hand. We're just going to dredge here and kill them. We're just going to set up to Cathartic Reunion the rest of our deck. And then we can Loam first. We can like dredge Loam. Play Loam. We have 1 Bloodghast, 2 Bloodghast, 3 Bloodghast. We have 1 more Bloodghast left. We need a land drop to get those back. Yeah, we're going to dredge Loam. So our plan here is to dredge Loam. We hit another Narcomoeba and another Prized Amalgam, which is fantastic. We have 15 cards left. We're going to cast the Loam. Targeting a mountain, and then the other cards don't matter as much. Foothills, and then a mountain. Mountains are the important ones because it allows us to just play an untapped, pain-free land. Play that. Our Bloodghast are going to come back. At this point, we can do basically anything and just win the game. So we have, you know, Conflagrate. I'm just going to dredge a lot. The worst case scenario is they have Reflector Mage, and they send it in, bounce this, block, block, only take 4. So we're just going to Cathartic the rest of our deck. We're going to discard our Amalgam and our Stinkweed Imp. And we're going to dredge 5. So we have 10 cards left. 5. So we have 10 cards left. There are chills. And then we don't want to deck, so we're going to do 3 for life from Loam. And they're just going to concede because they're dead. Cool. Okay, so that game worked out well. We saw the power of Conflagrate. And then put a lot of stuff in play and then did our thing. Humans, I don't think they really have any dedicated graveyard hate in their sideboard at all, honestly. They're very limited to what they can cast because all of their lands make 5 colors, but only for creatures. So this isn't much they can have, honestly. We're going to bring our Darkblast and our Lightning Axes. We're going to cut 2 of our Shriekhorns. Typically, you want 8 1-mana enablers, and Axe does that job better. We're going to leave in the Thugs because Darkblast usually fills that role, you know, but I want the extra dredgers. I'm going to cut 1 Creeping Chill because I don't think it's as important against them. I'm going to cut 1 Thug. So we're going up 1 dredger, and then also Darkblast is kind of a turn 1 enabler. If I can kill their Noble Hierarch, it's a way to put a dredge card in the graveyard on turn 1, which is great. So we're cool with all this. We don't want anything else. We're good to go. All right, so 3 lands, Lightning Axe, Prized Amalgam, Creeping Chill. So this hand does not have either of our red cards, nor does it have a dredge card. So This is going to be a mulligan. And this is kind of a weird mulligan. I mean, we have 3 lands, 4 spells, we have an axe, we have some graveyard stuff, but we're not really doing anything. This hand really isn't getting anywhere. If we had a dredge card to discard to our lightning axe, great. I could buy that. But for now, this hand isn't really doing anything, despite being 3 lands and 4 spells. And we need better than this, because our deck needs to function. And this is a non-functional hand. This hand is much, much better. So we get to keep this. We're going to put the land on the bottom. We already have 2 lands. That's our goal. Our quota is 2 lands. We have Looting, Shriekhorn, Amalgam, Stinkweed Imp. So we want to use our Looting to dredge if possible. Again, so right now, we could just cast Looting and discard the Imp and the Amalgam, and that looks appealing. But the thing is, we really want to use the Looting aggressively, not to put cards in our graveyard, but to give us more extra dredges. Because the goal is to dredge as fast as possible. So in this case, we're just going to play Shriekhorn as they go. We'll get to mill 4 cards before our next draw step. And then, ideally, we'll hit at least 1 dredge card and then dredge it, hit another one, and then cast Looting, and then start to go nuts. And we're all setting up for a flashback of Looting on turn 3. So ooh. Once again, a basic land opening. It's peculiar. Alright, Thalia is annoying, but not that bad, because we have a 1-mana spell, not a 2-mana spell. Thalia comes in. We Shriekhorn ourselves into their main phase. We had a Creeping Chill and a Prized Amalgam. So I can buy that. Again, we're going to hit our upkeep. We're going to mill before draw, try and hit a dredge card. Survey says land. No good. So, and there's a dredge card, obviously. Dredge can be frustrating at times, obviously. So, now we're at a point where I think we need to cast this Looting. If we don't cast Looting, we're doing nothing. And ideally, we are drawing 2 cards of Looting. We could draw another Looting. We could draw a Cathartic Reunion. There's stuff we can draw. Life from Loam is fine. So, we're going to cast Looting and see where it takes us. We can't flash it back next turn because of Thalia, but it's not too bad. Also, possibility of a freebooter taking it or a melee mage naming it next turn. So let's just cast it and get it going. All right, more lands. Jeez. All right, so we're putting at least 1 Stinkweed Imp in the graveyard. And I want to also put in a Prized Amalgam. If we dredge into a Bloodghast, a Narcomoeba, that's 8 cards to dredge into, we'll get 2 creatures back. So I think that's more important than trying to have an extra dredge card in the graveyard. Because we have no ways to turbo dredge yet anyway. And drawing the lands isn't actually that bad because it allows us to flash back the Looting on turn 4, which could be worse. So this card's so good in the human deck. Sack the Canopy. That's aggressive. So they are not happy with their hand. They're looking to fill stuff out. Wow. That's a pretty bad hand. They have a Lieutenant here. No, Melee Mage. So they're probably going to name Faithless Looting, which is annoying. They could also name Conflagrate. So if we dredge into a Conflagrate, it's really, really good for us. And they might not want to allow us that option. There's a tough spot here as far as what they're going to name. I would say Looting and Conflagrate are the 2 big ones. And honestly, I chose Conflagrate. Okay, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because now we can flash back the Looting, I guess, in 2 turns. But okay, so as we were saying earlier, we want to dredge before we Shriekhorn, because you can Shriekhorn at instant speed. You can't draw step at instant speed, so we're going to draw. We're going to go for big money here. We got to hit one of our 8 cards we're talking about. That's a hit. Ooh, and another Prized Amalgam, and the Conflagrate. So they hit the Conflagrate, so we can't do it. But now we get 3 Amalgams back. And now we're going to hit the part of the deck. Actually, we should probably, I should have Horned in response to that. That's fine. Bloodghast. All right, sure. So now all these triggers are up. We're getting a whole army back. And now it's the point, honestly, we're just going to cast our Stinkweed Imps. Stinkweed Imp is a card that, yeah, it's your dredge card, but a lot of times just casting it against creature decks is actually quite good. So let's get our Bloodghast back. We're going to fetch Shock. It's important to keep track of your lands. You only have 2 Blood Crypts and 2 Stomping Grounds, so you occasionally can mill them and lose the ability for that to get that color. But we obviously do not do that now, which is good. They cast an Imp. And now they're in a tough spot because now what? We have an army in play. And they can't really attack into Stinkweed Imp super well. Obviously, Thalia has first strike, you know, but Mantis Rider not looking too good. Reflector Mage can bounce the Imp, but we have plenty of things in play to attack with. So, sack Canopy. Okay. Again, one of the reasons why Aether Vial is very good in humans is because of Horizon Canopy. The ability to not need lands but still cast spells is fantastic. Alright, so there's your creatures that are kind of big, and there's our Stinkweed Imp. Fantastic. Alright, so we're going to untap. We're going to... No Dredge cards available. We have drawn Conflagrate. So now our options are very interesting, to say the least. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is attack. We're going to lose a Prized Amalgam to Thalia. One of the things is our creatures are very replaceable. So unless this vial is specifically, I guess Reflector Mage is the worst case scenario. Nothing is really that bad, honestly. So we're just going to attack with everything but Stinkweed Imp. Even the Bloodghast doesn't matter. If you actually want the Bloodghast in the graveyard to recur the Amalgams that might die. This is actually saving us the trouble. If they didn't do this, we were actually going to conflagrate our own Bloodghast for 1, which is a very common play, to put it in the graveyard and then get it back so you can recur your Amalgams. They're doing it for us here to take less damage. So I can't cast Conflagrate, duh. That is a melee mage in play. Sorry. So that's fine. So now we have that. Now I think we're going to play the land, get back the Bloodghast and the Amalgam, and we're going to flashback Faithless Looting and go from there. Could also cast Stinkweed Imp, but I think I would rather just... It's tough, honestly, because we don't have any dredging to do. We can looting again next turn, though. You know what? I've changed my mind. I think we're actually we're just gonna play a tap land and then get back our stuff and play on the Stinkweed Imp. I think they actually just can't beat these Stinkweed Imps. Without having things that actually dredge, I'm not very excited about looting. We have another land, so we can make the same play we made this turn next turn by just attacking with everything. They make some blocks, and we just get everything back anyway. Then we have looting to work on future stuff. Any of these imps die, great. Like, they can't really attack. Cathartic Reunion. Okay, that's a pretty good one for like next turn. But all right, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to attack. I might even send in one of these Stinkweed Imps, honestly. 3, 6, 9, and 11, 12. Yeah, they have vials on 2 and 3, so it's pretty scary as far as like what they could put into play. All right, I guess I'll play a little more conservative. We'll just attack with these. All right, so it's the same. We're just replaying the same turn over again, which is great for us because they took damage and we lost nothing. So great. Flashback looting. Two of the cards we don't really want to draw, but honestly, casting Creeping Chill to end this game is fine. So we're going to discard the Narcomoeba and the Conflagrate. Play a Mountain. Get our stuff back, because that's just how things roll. And you can see how brutal it is to try and beat a Dredge deck without dedicated graveyard hate. I mean, they are playing their cards, they are doing their thing. Their hand is not great, but it's not awful. And they can't do anything against the recursive elements of just playing Amalgams and Bloodghast over and over and over again, you know? So, pretty lopsided match there. Cool, so we're 1-1. After that first match. All right. So, again, Dredge has always been very, very good against creature strategies due to Conflagrate. The ability to play red and deal 5 damage as you would choose anywhere on turn 2 or 3 is absolutely backbreaking. especially for Noble Hierarch decks. And then again, once you board in Darkblast and things like that, and Stinkweed Imp can block, it's just very, very good. You know, if your opponent's playing creatures, Dredge is a good place to be. Okay, so this hand is good. It's not great. We have a chill, but we have looting, we have imp, we have amalgam. We are on the play. And although we have nothing to do on turn 2 yet, we are drawing 2 fresh cards. And one of the things that's so good about looting, like I said, is you don't necessarily want to use your red cards to put cards in the graveyard if you can help it, because you want to use them to turbo dredge. This can do both, turn 1 and then turn 3. So ideally we'll draw some good card to play on turn 2, be it Life from a Loam, Cathartic Reunion, whatever. But no matter what, we have a flashback on turn 3. So put them all against a 6, scratch to the bottom, which also obviously bodes well for us. It is me. Hi, opponent. I tend to never talk in chat on Magic Online. So if you ever play against me, don't be offended. I would spend so much time talking in chat. If I had to do it every single round when I'm streaming or recording videos or whatever, I just tend to just pretend it's not there. So, Milk, hi, my friend. If you're watching the video, I wasn't being rude. I just, you know, just a time issue. So we discard the Amalgam and the Stinkweed Imp. And we get to just say, go. Next turn we get to Dredge. We have a Conflagrate in our hand. If we knew we were playing against a creature deck, we might discard the Conflagrate. But I think at this point, we don't know what we're playing against. And the ability to have a good Dredge with Amalgam is far outweighs anything else. So big Dredge here on the Stinkweed Imp. Let's go. Narcomoeba or Bloodghast, please. Creeping Chill. All right, that's fine. Hit another Imp. Not the end of the world. And it's Scalding Tarn, go, which means they're probably not playing a creature-based strategy, so Conflagrate can stay in our hand for now. Should play land, just say go. No end-step fetch is also interesting. Possibly a shadow deck, because they're not concerned with their life total. Yeah, this looks a little sketchy. Untap Watery Grave, Scalding Tarn. Smells like some sort of counterspell. So we're going to have to play our turn accordingly. We're not going to fetch end step. Because if we dredge and hit a Bloodghast, we'd rather have access to a fetch land. I think, let's see, plan of the turn, we fetch dredge. It doesn't actually matter. Yeah, it's fun. All right, let's see what the Dredge turns up. Right now we're thinking they're a bad shadow hand. They did mulligan and scry to the bottom, so we missed again. However, we hit 2 more lootings, which is actually pretty huge, because now I feel comfortable just firing off a looting. The problem is we have no Dredge cards in our graveyard, so the looting we cast is going to be to discard Stinkweed Imps, which kind of stinks. Other options would be to play Conflagrate for 0 and then just play it for like 2. I'm just going to cast the looting. If they have Stubborn Denial, it's fine. If they don't, it's great. If they have a counterspell, it's fine. It's really just not that bad now that we have access to 2 more of them. So you have plenty of resources. And again, our graveyard is usually safe in game 1s. So okay. Salumgar's Scorn. We are playing Modern, the format where anything can happen. I'm going to assume our opponent is playing some sort of like Nicol Bolas deck. Obviously, they didn't have to reveal Vio because they just casting as a Force Spike. But yeah, this should be fine for us, I would assume. Some sort of grindy Grixis deck. Having played this deck now for a little bit, I think I am a little concerned with the quantity of Dredge card, like actual Dredge cards in the deck. I feel like we've been short on Dredgers a lot. Obviously, it's the one right there. So, you know, it happens. But all right, so we're gonna play a land, play on Salumgar's Scorn. We're not gonna crack it though. And we're just going to flashback looting again. If they counter it again, I mean, we have more lootings, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we could Conflagrate, discard these imps, but Slumgar Score and revealing Nicol Bolas. Sure. Well, thankfully, when they cast Nicol Bolas, we'll be able to discard a card to that. So we're going to leave our fetch line in play for Bloodghasts. And honestly, we actually actively want them to cast a Nicol Bolas next turn. I would prefer they cast it rather than not cast it, because I want to put this card in the graveyard. So that's the problem we've had so far this game. All right, you have an uncounterable dragon. Congratulations, you've done it. Nope, they have main deck Relic Opportunities. That's kind of unreal. Just main deck Graveyard 8, but okay. It's going to make our life very difficult, obviously, playing against a main deck Graveyard Hate card in Game 1 here. There has been a lot of Dredge online in the last, like, week, so it could just be an over-response to it. The Magic Online metagame tends to move very, very quickly, whereas the real-life metagame tends to move much more slowly. That is a problem, though. So now we need to try and make them pop it without spending too many resources. Our goal is to spend the least amount of resources possible to make them pop this. We're going to lose 2 amalgams no matter what, and that stinks. But I think our play right now might actually just be cast Stinkweed Imp and say go. Main deck Relic Opportunities. That's why everyone loves Modern so much, you know, because anything can happen. Anything can and will happen. Main deck Relic Opportunities. What do you think you are? Sarkin. Okay. But here I guess it's kind of useful. All right, they loot with Sarkin. Discard a Sarkin. Play an island. 2 cards in hand. 1 is Nicol Bolas. I mean, we're a little hamstrung here on options, honestly. I guess we're attacking Sarkin. Just playing our Stinkweed Imp and saying go. You know, we can't really use our graveyard as the relic. We don't really have anything to entice them to use the relic, so we can keep going. Kind of just power through it. We know they have a Nicol Bolas. It's not the end of the world. Honestly, if they cast Nicol Bolas, I'm happy, because once the imp goes in the graveyard, that's the thing that can force them to have to use the relic. And then we can get the relic out of the way and just keep going. They discarded a Slumgar Scorn? The hand must be very, very good. This is pretty peculiar. All right. I feel like if they had a Slumgar Scorn in their hand, they should have just kept it and then made mana with Sarkin to play Nicol Bolas with Slumgar Scorn and Relic up, and they can probably never lose. But they could have something else here, I guess. They also haven't been using their Relic, which is, you know, Relic has a top ability too. You can just slowly work away at their graveyard. All right, well, we're going to Dredge, and we'll hopefully get something that forces the issue here. Yes, we do. So there's Narcomoeba. And now the issue is forced as far as them relicking us. So they probably have to do it now. And now we can just Conflagrate, kill the Nicol Bolas, put the Stinkweed Imp back in the graveyard, and go on with our lives. Nope, they're letting us do it. So they're letting us trigger the amalgams. They can't flip Nicol Bolas next turn. So, frankly, mean, now they're going to have to pop the relic at the end of our turn before these amalgams come back. Unless we're playing main deck Anger of the Gods too, which would be pretty frustrating. In that case, I'm just going to flashback this looting and try and improve my hand for the inevitable post-relic world. We also can hit Bloodghasts if we dredge. We might dredge, might not dredge. I'm not sure yet. Remember, each individual draw is a separate instance, so we can choose to draw a card here, and then have our next draw be a dredge. We can dredge and then draw a card. You can mix it up any way you want to. If we get a Bloodghast, I'm pretty happy about it. I think I like a dredge for our first draw. I think 4 is enough to be cool. I mean, they're kind of actually, you know what? Maybe that's wrong. I think they're incentivized to pop relic anyway. I'm just gonna draw a card. So first draw is gonna be a draw. You draw a Stinkweed Imp. Yeah, and the next draw is gonna be a draw again, and that's a Wooded Foothills. So we're gonna discard the Creeping Chill and one of these lands, just extraneous. All right, then we're just gonna attack the Sarkhan, I suppose. We're not really concerned with our life total at the moment, so they're going to have to pop the Relic end step, and then next turn we'll Conflagrate, discard the Imps, kill the Nicol Bolas, and just keep playing. So now the Amalgam's trigger on our end step, and they have to respond with the Relic if they want them not come into play. Now they're doing it, which is fine. Alright, so those are gone. They draw a new card. I don't mind trading blows here. So my imps are tapped, so they can attack us, but I don't really care. Then we attack back at Sarkhan and kill it. Alright, so now it's important to keep track of what you have access to. Oh god, they're adding mana with Sarkhan. This could be bad. So we've lost access to... There's usually a thing you have to keep track of in post-sideboard games, but we only have 2 Amalgams left. We have all 4 Bloodghasts, 2 Creeping Chills left. Thankfully, Stinkweed Imp is still good against Stormbright Dragon. Excuse me. That's interesting. Okay. I'm going to talk to Evan about this first video luck stuff. The curse of the first video. Just playing against everyone as main deck graveyard 8. Alright. I mean, it's not making this game easy for us to win. Loam's pretty good. We've lost 1 Stomping Ground. We've lost both Stomping Grounds. That's gross. So we have 1 Mountain and 1 Blood Crypt left as fetchable lands. We can... They monstrous this next turn. It's pretty bad for us. Any number of targets. 3 and 1. 3 and 2. They ultimate this or whatever. That kind of stinks. Man, these games are hard with the Relic involved. Alright. They're going to block Narcomoeba here, which is fine. Sarkhan goes to 1. We finish off both the Sarkhan and the thing. I think we're going to crack both fetch lands and Life from a Loam, and then land Conflagrate. Yeah. Try and get some cards back. Just going to get Mountain and then a Blood Crypt. This just turns our Loam into 2 cards in our hand. The quantity of cards in our hand is very important. And now you can Conflagrate. Make sure you do this all in one shot, because if you it's a sorcery. If you allow them priority before casting Conflagrate, they can exile it before you can cast it. But right now we cast it, we have priority, they have priority, now we have priority again, and they'll have no chance to exile it. They have the 4th Silumgar score in here. I'm going to be unhappy. I'm not going to lie. So we're going to pitch everything but one Stinkweed Imp. And we're going to hope that our Stinkweed Imps can get the job done against all these relics. Alright. You're going to pop relic again? Alright, so now we're back to square one. It's just 3 stinky boys against the biggest, meanest dragon you ever seen. They get a monstrous here? Sure. So we're taking a total of 8, which is fine. Once again, we've lost access to... We still have 2 Conflagrates, some Bloodghast. Cathartic is really, really good. That was oh no, it's not. We can't cast it yet. So we're gonna wait. We gotta wait 1 turn because we need 2 cards to cast this. But that's still pretty good. And we're gonna leave back both Stinkweed Imps on defense. And if they have 2 removal spells, then we're dead. Happens. Monstrous. Well, they beat us with 2 main deck relics. The curse of the first video continues. Alright, so we are going to bring in our Nature's Claims. Definitely not a Creeping Chill matchup. This is more about grinding than about, you know, killing them faster or us gaining life. I don't mind Assassin's Trophy either. I also wouldn't mind just adding a Dredge card to the deck. I feel like we're just light on Dredge cards. And if they're going to be relicking us actively, we need to refine Dredge cards over and over again. I don't know how many of these I even want. Let's just skip these. I'm going to bring in a Darkblast for an extra Dredge card. I can always end step Dredge or Darkblast a dragon. They might have Leyline. Actually, they could have Leyline. We have claims. They have Leyline and Relic. I mean, there's a point where your Dredge deck just can't ever win anymore. You know, if your opponent really wants to beat you, like if your opponent, you know, plays at a store where they just have 8 Dredge players and they just like main deck 4 Relics, board in 4 Leylines and 4 Rest in Peace, like you can actually just never win. That's part of what you sign up for when you play Dredge. You know, you are wielding a large amount of power, but at a cost. I'm going to cut 1. I'm not going to Conflagrate for an Assassin's Trophy. I'm going to shave it Narcomoeba too, I think. Let's do this. Let's give ourselves the outs in case they're super nutso on hate cards. All right, this hand is great. This hand is very close to the ideal hand. Turn 1 Shriekhorn, turn 2 mill looting. This hand actually gets out ahead of Relic Opportunitas, which is great. So, we're actually going to fetch here. Right? Yeah. If we draw another fetch land, I want to be able to cast Life from Loam for 2. We have too many things to do. I think we're fine. Yeah, I'm just going to play with Shriekhorn. Shriekhorn, go. There's definitely times where you want to lead on fetch over fast land, which feels weird, but your goal is to try and fetch twice and then cast Loam on turn 2 for 2 lands. Yeah, sure, why not, you know? All right, Trophy Shriekhorn, not a good mill there. Oh, they activated it. Surprise. All right, so we're going to upkeep mill, Stomping Ground, Bloodstained Mire. Well, at least our Loam's going to be good. So this is the playing against hate section of the video, because it's very important to learn how to play against hate cards. We're not going to go fast. We're just going to slow down. We're just going to fetch, cast Loam, get back 3 lands, get some value. This is also going to put 8 cards in our hand, so we can discard to hand size, keep 1 dredge card in the graveyard. You want to just dredge slowly, try and get some things in place slowly, make them use their relic, and lose the least amount of resources possible. That is your goal. I'm sorry, we're not going to get hand size, obviously, because we have only 7 cards, but still. Regardless, there's a dredge card in the graveyard. Goodbye, Shriekhorn. It was nice knowing you. Dredge Loam. Hit Bloodghast, Assassin's Trophy, Mountain. Cool. So now they're in a spot where they got to figure out when am I going to relic. So we're going to Shriekhorn ourselves. Ideally hit an Amalgam or Bloodghast. Conflagrate. Okay. So we're going to play a land and attempt to bring back this Bloodghast. And then we'll see what they do and go from there. Okay, cool. Now we're going to fetch a land. And we're going to... Oh, we had a lands? We still have Steam Vents, right? We lost our... No, we didn't. We're good. We're going to fetch a land tapped and just cast Life from Loam. Put a dredge card back in our graveyard. Keep drawing cards and just play in the slow game. We're not going to cast Looting yet. We want to try and make them use the relic before we use our Looting. We have lots of lands. We're good. I will get the Steam Vents just in case we need to cast Amalgams. We at some point, or I don't know. The other ones are basically irrelevant. So let's get that. Just gonna get it tapped. I need to go crazy. Just cast the Loam. Slow and steady, steady and slow. Now we're gonna be at 8 cards. We have to discard 1 Stinkweed Imp. Okay. Discard an Imp. And ask them once again, do you want to relic? Your goal is to ask them every single turn, do you want to relic? And then make them relic, and then keep your plan going. While also doing the most proactive things you can do. Rock me to sleep. Rock me to sleep. All right, they aren't. So we can probably assume they have Silumgar Scorn in their hand, things of that nature. But we're gonna dredge, and we'll just go from there. We're gonna go for Imp this time. I want to get a bigger dredge. Casting Loam. There's no lands in the graveyard. We could fetch and get a land, but we're pretty stock full of cards here. I'm just gonna try and go for a bigger dredge. All right, that's a pretty good one. So it's a Narcomoeba and a Prized Amalgam. So the question now is, of course, is it time to relic yet? And if it is time to relic, then we get to just go off. All right, so nope, it's not time to relic yet. Sure. Not a problem. So now I get to attack. We're going to play a Stinkweed Imp, and we're going to say go. And we're just waiting for a turn. They're probably going to relic end step, I would assume. I can't imagine they give us an Amalgam. They could have Anger of the Gods too, I guess. But I mean, like, we can't play around literal everything. Yeah, we're just going to... land tapped, cast Stinkweed Imp, which definitely has value in play in this matchup, and say go. And even if they have Anger, I don't even think it's that bad. So we still have Looting, Flashback Looting, double Imp. So we are well set up for the post graveyard being gone world, which is most of your job in against hate. Your goal is to set up for the world after the Rest in Peace is gone, after the relic is gone, etc., etc. They let us have it. They definitely have Anger. Okay, that's fine. Yep. Okay. Haters. And now we just keep going. Untap. Dredge Life from Loam. Hit an Narcomoeba. Put it in play. Now's the time they're going for it. So now we're ready to roll, folks. Our patience has finally been paid off. Looting. Draw. Oh, yeah, this is great. Discard 2 imps. We're going to hard cast another looting. Wait, no, we're going to... Should we graveyard cast or... Let's graveyard cast, actually. Graveyard cast the looting. Dredge 10. 5. 5. Kind of Brick City. That's okay. Discard 2 Stinkweed Imps. Right? No, yes, yes. Discard 2 Imps. Play land. Get back our Bloodghasts. Yes. And yes. Play another looting. Dredge more cards. Amalgam. Amalgam. Not ideal, but all right, we're going to keep 1 imp in our hand because it has value on the battlefield. Unfortunately, we hit the amalgams on our second shot, not our first shot. If it had been reversed, we'd have 10 power in play, but that's okay. We now have 11 cards left in our deck. We can go through and figure out what we have left. We have 1 amalgam in our deck. We have 1 Bloodghast in our deck. We have no Conflagrates. Unmoored Ego. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a more hateful person in my entire life. So now we're going to lose our amalgams probably, which is fine. We still have our Bloodghasts. We have our Life from Loam. We have Conflagrate in the graveyard. Nope, they're naming Conflagrate. That is interesting. We only have 2. We only have 1, actually. It's just in the graveyard. This was basically a coffin purge. So that makes me a little more concerned about a possible follow-up anger or snap. I mean, their anger's gone. But, I mean, unfortunately at this point, we're literally just running out of resources. We only actually have so many cards in our deck. So we have 1 Bloodghast left. And we're going to try and hit it. Stinkweed Imp. There's the Bloodghast. All right, so here's what we do. We're going to attack. We're going to play a fetchable land. We're going to say go. We're going to bring these back in the end step. We need to make sure we have fetchable lands left, though. We have Mountain, Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt. Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt. Mountain, we have no fetchable lands left. It's always something. All right, well, now we have no choice. Now we can't actually play around anything. So we have 1 Bloodghast. We have lootings. Yeah, if they have anger, we're just dead. I don't really see a realistic way to play around it. That's not just going to give them a lot of time. With no Conflagrate anymore and only 6 cards in our deck. I suppose the Bloodghast would have haste. Unfortunately, the Bloodghasts are May. You can choose to return some Bloodghast. Prized Amalgam is not. You have to bring all of them back. So I would love if I had the choice, I'd bring back 1 Bloodghast and 1 Amalgam and leave 2 in the graveyard maybe or something like that. But 10, they have 5 cards in hand. Maybe we can wait. You know what? We have 5 power in play. I'm going to Loam. Just get back some lands. I'm going to play a Copperline Gorge tapped and not get back Bloodghast. We're going to play it safe. We're going to play around Anger of the Gods. They have 5 cards in hand. They haven't done much this game. Let's just chill. We have lethal in 2 turns. We'll see what they do. If they play a dragon or something that makes it so we can't really attack anymore, we can go for it. We can afford to wait a turn here, I think. Again, I'd much prefer to have a fetchable land, so I could just end step fetch or fetch a Bloodghast and try and get them like that, but Dragon's Horde. We are playing Modern. We are playing Modern. I promise. Wow. All right. So, you're saying there's a chance. Good play, Jim. Thanks. Alright, we are no longer at a point I want to even dredge anymore. We're just going to draw a card. Is there one Bloodghast left in the deck? No, there's no Bloodghast left. There's no Amalgams left. There's literally nothing to dredge for at this point. We're just going to draw a card. Our goal is just to not deck. Now we can cast that, which is fine. So we're just going to do our thing and hope they don't have the third Anger of the Gods, because that would be very, very annoying. At this point, we're shoving. We're putting everything into play. They have a third Anger. I mean, you got us. You know, sometimes you can't beat everything. Shrug. Oh, yeah, haste. It's got haste, too. Don't forget that. All right, here it is. They have the third copy of Anger of the Gods. What does this card even do? Any mana of any color. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, put a gold counter on Dragon's Horde, remove a gold counter, draw a card. Card's fine. Pretty cool with Lightning Bolt, being able to, or Fatal Push, play it and then kill something that turn. It's good tempo play. How many relic do they have this game? 1 relic or 2 relic? You only had 1? Yeah, that is a Nicol Bolas the Ravager. You have played that card. You have gotten a gold counter. I'm going to attack you with everything. And maybe you'll terminate something. No dredge. Attack with everything. Our plays, we only have 4 cards left and no relevant spells, so our plays for the rest of the game are forced. It's just going to be attack all every turn. Yep. Sure. We do have 1 Narcomoeba left, which is interesting. So now they're going to 3. We could looting and dredge. We have our Dakmor Salvage. We do. We could dredge 2 and try and hit Narcomoeba and get these Prized Amalgams back. We can't dredge 3, unfortunately, because we'll just die, obviously. This is a ridiculous game of Magic. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're a coin flip to return our Amalgams and win the game next turn. Otherwise, I shouldn't tap the blue because we tap B to cast the thing and we draw it. All right. Flashback looting. We're going to dredge 2 off Dakmor Salvage. We missed. We're going to discard the lands. We did draw a Stinkweed Imp, so we can cast that. But unfortunately, we did not hit our last card is Narcomoeba, unless I'm missing something, which is unfortunate. We lost our flip, but now we have 1 card left. We get to attack next turn, and if they have nothing, we win. And if they have something, we die. I think going forward there was very, very real. Now they block. These 2 go to 1. Thought we had this one. Oh, I boarded 1 out. Okay, I forgot. That's awkward. So you're playing for an out that wasn't there. That's brutal. All right, well, we attack. And we're dead. Yeah, we just deck. All right. I like to play this game so well, too. So what was our out there? I'm honestly not sure. If we had dredged a Thug, maybe the turn prior, had the one extra attacker like that, that might have been it. I'm very disappointed in that game. I thought we played very well that game, and we were going to beat Double Anger Relic. And Unmoored Ego, if that matters. But all right, I think we could have won that game. I think if we had dredged the Thug a turn or two prior, I suppose if we had realized we didn't have a Narcomoeba in our deck, we would have not dredged, and then we would have had an extra turn or two. I don't know if that would have mattered though, because they can just flip this thing and start doing stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. Tough one. Tough one. Deck's not easy to play, especially when your opponent plays main deck relics. That's okay, though. That's okay. A lot of dredge online. Alright. Opponent, we're on the draw here. We're going to mulligan this hand. We have essentially a 5-card hand, as we were saying with these cards. And our 5-card hand's not very good. No red cards to discard with. No discard outlets or dredgers. Like way too dredge. And no dredge cards except for Loam. We could obviously go turn 1 fetch, turn 2 fetch, Loam, but that's too slow on the draw, so I'm just going to mulligan. This hand is not much better, but we are going to keep as it is a looting. That's great. There's a dredge card. Perfect. So we could also, if they're playing a creature deck, we can go turn 1 Conflagrate, turn 2 flashback, turn 3 looting. So that's an option too. I think finding the right amount of creeping chills is going to be an interesting question. I think 4 might be too many. We are seeing it in our opening hand a lot. Botanical Sanctum. Birds of Paradise. It looks like a spirit deck. And we're going to play this turn 1 Conflagrate. So we could looting and discard the Conflagrate, but I'd rather save the front side of looting to dredge with. So we're just going to go turn 1 Conflagrate 4-0. Just put it in the graveyard. Obviously, this telegraphs our play a little bit, but I'd prefer no Geist Saint Draft. Voice of Resurgence. This is the Todd Stevens deck. Another looting. Okay. We're definitely killing the bird. And I'm pretty fine killing the voice also. So I want to discard 3 cards in my hand. That's fine. So this. We're going to pop off here. Obviously, the voice token could be bigger than a 2/2 and kill us later, but I want to discard multiple. I think the other option is just to target them, I guess. We definitely want to kill the birds. That much is absolutely certain. Other option here is we quit looting twice, but I think killing birds is just super huge. And then we have a huge dredge turn next turn. Yeah, we're going to kill the bird. I'm going to kill the birds and just go upstairs then. Maybe we'll leave the chill in our hand for a future Conflagrate. Let's discard these 2. Hopefully they don't have Scavenging Ooze. That would be annoying. Knight of the Reliquary. No, Knight of Autumn. You have a 4/3. Sure. Alright, so we have to do some stuff this turn. Let's do our thing. Dredge 4. We hit Creeping Chill, Conflagrate, Loam. Fantastic. Hit the chill. And now we get to loot. Dredge Loam. We missed a Dredger, but we hit a Narcomoeba. Discard Imp and Thug. Get this back. Always yes. Get back the Amalgams. Fantastic. Looting again. We can see here how good the red cards are. Just that and get that. And more Amalgams. Discard Thug. going to keep a Thug on my hand, actually, because I want to block with it later. I'm going to discard the Chill and the Imp. Alright, so we have more stuff. Chill again. Narcomoeba again. And put... Oh, look, it's turn 3. We just put 11 power in play. That's what our plan is. We're also at 21 and they're at 9. So those chills, we had 2 chills. And those chills are real. That's makes our attack lethal next turn rather than lethal in 2 turns. Another voice. Alright, that's a good blocker, obviously. Another voice. Alright, well, that's interesting. We're going to dredge the Loam here. I'm sorry, Imp. We already have a Loam. Dredge Imp. And not too much doing there. So if all these voices die, they'll have an army of 4/4s. We have Narcomoebas to block, and they have almost nothing left. We're going to build up to Conflagrate here. Didn't hit any Bloodghast, which is a little annoying. Bloodghast would be really good here. We've been through half our deck and not found any. But Occupational Hazard, it is what it is. So one of the problems here is actually, if we have no way to recur the Amalgams this turn with no Bloodghasts, I think we actually have to just not do anything. Now I'm thinking about it. I think our attack is too bad. We attack, we trade off, make these 4/4s, and then we don't have a way to get them back in play. So we're trying to cast Loam here and say go. We're attack with the flyers, but let's get back Copperline Gorge, Mountain, Blood Crypt. And we're going to, I guess I got a fetch land probably. Play our black land, attack for 2. Try and set up for next turn. We have a dredge of 3 next turn, which is not great, but it's fine. We could also go dredge Loam, cast it, and then cast a Conflagrate for a good amount next turn as well. I believe that is lethal. We dredge 5, so yeah, that should be lethal also. It's 6 plus 2. So we're in pretty good shape here. Hard to cast Grizzly Bears, not really doing too much against us. Noble Hierarch. They send with just the Knight of Autumn. I'll block with everything. Because our creatures want to die. Because they're always coming back. Party block. That's what we call a party block in the business. Good trade, good trade. Dredge Loam. Amalgam, not much else. Alright, I think we're just going to go for lethal here, right? We Loam. This turns into 3 lands. We play a land. We have 6 cards in hand, and they're dead. Cool. Easy as that. They have 1 card in hand. It's a Spell Queller, doesn't matter. I guess it's a Spell Queller for the life from the Loam itself. It's annoying, but if it's a Queller, they might just cast it here and block. Alright, I believe they do have Spell Queller. Nope, they're just dead. Okay, cool. Nice Grizzly Bears opponent. Alright, so winning game 1 is usually our job. Game 2 and 3 are the more difficult ones. It is important to note, one of the things you want to do when you're playing Dredge is you really have to put in the work, try and figure out what sideboard cards they are going to bring in against you. So, is it going to be Rest in Peace? Is it going to be Grafdigger's Cage, Relic of Eternitus? So you can look at the cards in their deck and you can try and figure out, okay, well they're playing 4 Voice of Resurgence, it looks like, and Rest in Peace turns off Voice. So they might or might not have that. If they're playing a company deck, they probably don't have Cage. You know, if they're playing their own graveyard stuff, might not have Rest in Peace or Relic. You know, so it's important to think about what card they could have and then preemptively prepare for it. I would say that 30 to 40% of the skill of Dredge is just knowing how to sideboard properly and properly anticipate what your opponents are bringing in against you and how to answer them. So we're going to bring in the Darkblast for sure as they kill mana creatures. Going to cut a Thug. Again, this is not a chill matchup. Chill is fine in that game, but once they have actual interaction for us, I don't want to deal with that. Lightning Axe also might be a thing. Knight of the Reliquary is a card that's likely in their deck. That's a card that can fetch up Bajuka Bog possibly, so killing that's pretty important. I'm going to bring these in. I'm going to bring in the claims and the trophies also. I'm going to cut all 4 Shriekhorns. Darkblast and Lightning Axe both serve the purpose of being an early enabler by allowing us to discard our Dredge cards. So it serves a similar purpose to Shriekhorn. And otherwise, I think this is it. I'm pretty happy here. We have 5 answers to hate cards. We have answers to creature-based hate cards. I'm happy here. All right, well, this hand is not perfect, but close. We're going to keep. We have turn 2 Cathartic. We have Nature's Claim for Rest in Peace. We have Conflagrate for creatures. The only question here is what we do on turn 1. Bloodstained Mire. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to play Mire and say go. One of the things is if we play Copperline Gorge and just say go, they may be able to sniff out the fact we have Nature's Claim, because that would be a weird hand to keep, and it would be a weird land to play on turn 1 when our deck's all fetch lands and dual lands. So it would be an uncommon thing to just go to Copperline Gorge go after keeping 7. Fetch land further helps to disguise our Copperline Gorge. So it looks like we're just planning on fetching end step. So Scavenging Ooze. Okay, that's a card. So there's your hate card. Now we need to plan out how we're going to beat it accordingly. Right now, Conflagrate is the only card that can deal with it. We're going to fetch a land tapped here, so we're just going to do that while we think. Our decision will be based heavily on what we draw this turn, so let's just draw a card and see what happens. We can Conflagrate it on turn 3. They will not have priority to kill it, but they will have the ability to eat the things in the graveyard in response. So, okay. Yeah, I think we can just play a land here and say go. Next turn we will cast Conflagrate for 0, and we will kill their board, and hopefully they don't have too much green mana up to eat things. Turn 2 Ooze on the play with an extra mana is fast enough. Often Scavenging Ooze is not fast enough without other help, but turn 2 on the play with a mana to go. If they went land go, land ooze, I would have cast Cathartic that turn and dredged 20 cards probably. But all right, so it looks like a pretty clear company. That's pretty good. So now we're in a really awkward spot though, because if you want to discard cards to Conflagrate to kill the ooze, we lose them because they're just going to eat them. If we do nothing, they cast company. This is a really, really awkward spot to be in. Unfortunately, our options are limited. We need to discard 2 cards that aren't creatures to kill this Scavenging Ooze. We're going to discard the Claim. And I guess the Looting. Which kind of sucks, honestly. But Cathartic Reunion is enough to really go nuts next turn, hopefully. So cast this for 0. As long as we do it immediately, there's no way they can have priority to eat it. And we're going to kill this. We could kill the Noble Hierarch, but that would require discarding too many cards. So we're going to, because we don't actually want these cards in the graveyard, we're going to pay a red. We're going to discard the Nature's Claim, which feels worthless at this point. They have Rest in Peace, probably can't beat it. And we're going to discard the Looting, which stinks, but it has to be a non-creature, and it can't be our Dredge card or our Cathartic. So, they'll get to eat it in response. If they do that, they can't company, though. So, we'll see what they do. Okay. All right. It's honestly not that bad. I mean, all things considered, we just killed their, really good hate card with our Conflagrate. Didn't lose too much. They probably still have company. They didn't cast company, which is good for us. A 3rd Amalgam. Jeez. So we could cast Loam here just to get back the 1 Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, actually, I like that a lot. So let's go Loam, Get back Bloodstained Mire. Puts the Loam in the graveyard, which is the important part. We're going to fetch up a basic. We're going to cast Cathartic Reunion. We're going to discard 2 Amalgams. And hope this life from Loam hits some good Dredge stuff. Because we got a ways to go here. That's a miss. That's a miss and a hit. So we didn't hit the Dredge cards we wanted to. We drew them, obviously. But we did hit a Narcomoeba to get back our Amalgams. So could be worse. I also hit a Darkblast, which is nice too. So that's a nice prize also. And if our next turn is hit Conflagrate too. Yeah, that's not bad. Could have been worse. And they didn't have company. They have Bojuka Bog. So they naturally drew Bojuka Bog. That's a 1-of in the deck for Knight of the Reliquary. Annoying, but could have been much, much worse. So now they still aren't doing anything. All right, we're going to upkeep, Darkblast the Noble Hierarchs, put a Dredge card in our graveyard. Dredge it. Hit 2 Narcomoebas. All right, I can buy that. Also a Bloodghast in there too. All right, yeah, we're just gonna attack. That's pretty cool actually. Because now they have Path to Exile. They'll get our Bloodghast back for us. It's cute. It's cute. Don't forget, it's any land. What is this? Are they a company now? They've waited this long to company? All right, here it is. Will they get paid off for waiting an entire turn to company? Noble Hierarch, Reflector Mage. Sure. Not a great payoff. They're going to bounce a Narcomoeba and not a Prized Amalgam. That's interesting. Not sure what that means. All right, we're going to cast Loam with 0 targets, put it in the graveyard. So we can dredge it next turn, and we're going to call it a day. It's very aggressive. So, obviously looks like another company. We'll dredge Loam. Hit 2 Bloodghast and a Looting. That's pretty good. I'm gonna Loam back that land. And what are we gonna do here? The fetch line's so good too, actually. Yeah, this is great. So we're gonna go Bloodstained Mire, get these back. They have haste. And then we're going to send him a team. I mean, this is a lethal attack. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually it's 1 short of lethal, but it's still fine. Yeah, I assume they're going to company. Oh, they have Settle? Oh my god, that's so brutal. All right, we got to reevaluate here. That makes sense. So I think that if I was smarter, I could have figured that one out. Why they were attacking so recklessly every turn. Like, that's a really weird attack to make. I think I could have sniffed this one out. It would have been very, very hard, but I think that we could have done it. Now, we got to think. We can Darkblast our own Bloodghast. And preserve it. And we can fetch up our Steam Vents. And cast a Narcomoeba. And just keep playing. What else can we do? I believe we will get our Mountain too. So we have more mana to flashback lootings and stuff. Alright. Pretty brutal. Again, I think we could have sniffed that one out. I think that if we really thought about our opponent attacking with Reflector Mage that turn, that's a card that makes sense. And that's one of the most important things in Magic is being able to figure stuff like that out. You know, like it's very easy to be like, oh, they had Settle, they're so lucky, I can't believe it. What a stupid card for them to play. But I think we could have sniffed that one out based on the context clues we had available to us. All right, so we're taking a hit here, but I think it's worth it. We can also cast the Amalgam next turn too. We can do lots of stuff. They're 10. We're at 7. They have a path also. Wow. All right. Well, see, the thing was that we obviously recognized that they had a bunch of mana up and weren't casting Company. That's very weird. So figuring out the other cards that make sense. They're not creatures and they're not companies. What else could they be? And Settle and Path make a lot of sense. So I think we might be dead this game. Now we Dredge Darkblast. We can't cast it and Stinkweed Imp or Amalgam. We're going to Dredge Loam, I think. There's a Conflagrate and 3 lands. That's pretty good. If we're looking for help, that is definitely that is help. No doubt. So we need to hit the Knight for 4. Oh, they have Ghost Quarter also. Ah, boy. So they can fetch and kill their own land. They'll have 5 lands in play. I mean 6 lands. It'll be a 6/6. We can't actually kill the Knight. All right. So perhaps it does not matter. Now I believe we're going to cast Stinkweed Imp and probably just kill these 2. We're still a little short on that, right? Fetch, Mountain. We've lost. And fetching and shocking is far too dangerous. We just go to 1. Is it really that bad? Is 1 different from 4? If they have a knight in play, it's a 10. It's a 6/6. Probably not, right? All right. But I don't have 4 cards though. All right, so 3. Red, discard 3 cards to kill Reflector Mage. We can Darkblast the other creature next turn. Okay. This is not thrilling, but this is our play at present. Also puts the Amalgam in the graveyard, which is somewhat beneficial. The big question is, do we attack with our Narcomoeba or not? That is the $1 million question. We are dead to any removal spell. I mean, we're not dead to any removal spell, I guess, but I guess we're not going to. I think we can beat a removal spell. A spell color here would be very funny. Nope. I only have 1 card left, so we might still be able to pull this game out despite the obscene Settle the Wreckage blowout. If I had left like 1 creature back or 2 creatures back and didn't get blown out by Settle, this game would have been very, very easy. And again, I think we could have sniffed it out. Nope, their last card is a second path. Okay, so we are still alive, but we are hanging by a thread. We do have a Looting in the graveyard. We have a draw step. We have a lot of dredges and a lot of mana. So we're not dead yet. They're at 9. We are low on Amalgams and Narcomoebas, which is the problem. This is post-board, so our chills are gone too. Yeah. All right, we're going to Dredge. I think Loam. I don't think Darkblast matters. There's a Bloodghast. That does not stop the Knight, though. So we are going to... I also have no fetchable lands left. That's a problem. We can't fetch either. All right. We are going to Flashback Looting. We're going to Dredge. We need to find a Stinkweed Imp or a Golgari Thug in this first Dredge. Preferably Thug, which we have only one of in our deck. Oh, they just Spell Queller. Okay, never mind. All right, so pretty good last few cards there for our opponent. But again, I think we could have snipped out that Spell Queller and still won. Like, I mean, the Settle and still won that game. I think a game like this is a game where 95% of Magic players, well, maybe less than that. We'll say 80% of Magic players are just like, God, they're so lucky. They drew Path into Queller, and they had Settle, and they're so lucky, and they drew the Bog, and that was so ridiculous. But the reality is that I think on that ultimate turn where they had the Settle, I think the context clues were there enough for us to figure it out. And people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a really good Magic player and an average Magic player? And the really good Magic player sniffs that out in that spot. So maybe I'm saying that I suck, but it's obviously a little harder to play when you're talking and stuff. But even then, though, I mean, I don't know if in a tournament, if I might have been, after the fact, been like, man, I think I could have gotten that one, you know? But, okay, so same scenario. We didn't see any actual hate cards. They still have Knight in their deck, too. So I think Rest in Peace is actually pretty unlikely. But Scavenging Ooze is a thing. Obviously, Settle, a card to watch out for. All right, so obviously an unkeepable hand. One land, no red cards. Mulligan to another pretty unkeepable hand, unfortunately. This card's basically blank. We have only one land. We got a mulligan in this hand, too. If this land's black, our hand's still bad, so whatever. Mulligan. The curse of the first video. Damn you, Evan Irwin. Alright, I mean, we're going to 4. Alright, I mean, that's a hand. Dakmor Salvage, not really interested. We can do better than that. I mean, honestly, this hand is pretty reasonable for a 4-card hand. We have Looting, 2 lands, and a Dredger. This is mostly what we want every game, so. Alright, let her rip. You know, Loam is a way to get back cards really fast. So we're gonna discard the Loam and the land because we want to get lands back with Loam, obviously. Not ideal, but we're not dead yet. Alright. Dredge Loam. We get an Amalgam, another Loam. Alright, so I mean we get to cast Loam here and just kind of keep rolling. We're set up for a flashback on Looting next turn. If they have Scavenging Ooze, it sucks, but there's not much we can do about it. So we do have 2 Loams. So alright, Dredge. Hit Conflagrate. That's pretty good. Let me just Conflagrate their board away here. We can't make a land drop, which sucks, but I think that we're just going to get the lands back with Loam anyway, and killing the Ooze and the creature is way too good. That was a pretty lucky hit there. 3-1. Crank it. And then we have Loam to rebuild next turn anyway. We can't Looting next turn, which stinks. We could leave the birds in play, but I think the mana is just too important. Slowing them down and allowing us time to build up our life in the low mana base is more important than casting Looting next turn. That was very lucky, though, to hit the Conflagrate there. It's interesting. They have Knight here for Bajuka Bog. I mean, we're in trouble here. Can't really sugarcoat it. We had a Bloodghast or a Narcomoeba there. Things are in fine, but we're in pretty bad shape here. Now they get to bog us. I mean, Ooze plus Knight with bog on our mulligan to 4. It's probably just too much to overcome. Yeah. Well, they're letting us dredge. I think we just fire off the Loam. Alright, well, there's a Bloodghast. So, unfortunately, we play a land and they just crank it in response. We lose our blood. We lose everything. Yeah, if we drew a fetch land, that would have been pretty cool. Or, I'm sorry, not drew, had a fetch land. But I think that we're in some pretty big trouble here. And they should almost assuredly activate Knight in response to this. All right. I mean, suppose that does that for Bajuga Bogs, I guess. Let's put it back in the graveyard and just keep going. That's actually great for us. I think they know we have Stomping Ground in our hand, which makes this a pretty peculiar play. I'm out of basics. Oh, never mind. All right. Still, they're trying to cut me off green, but I guess we obviously have both basics in play. So, I mean, I think we're just dead here. We should attack us twice and kill us. Stinkweed Imp, looting. Yeah. All right. It's been some tough matches. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of graveyard hate. A lot of awkward hands. We're gonna finish strong though. We are gonna finish strong. Again, I think that game 2 is winnable, and that's the thing. You know, like we win that game 2, we win the match. You know, every time you throw a game away, it's maybe throw a game away is a little strong for that one, but every time you don't win a game you could win, there's always the risk that next game you just mulligan to 4 and lose. You know, so. You gotta, again, that's a really easy spot to be like, man, I'm looking to 4. It's so unlucky after my opponent drew, you know, path. Again, 80 to 90% of Magic players in that spot that's exactly what they're gonna say, and they're gonna tilt off, or they're gonna go to their friends and be like, oh, it's so stupid, I'm looking to 4. But again, it all comes back to that one turn where we probably could have figured it out, you know, and maybe. Reed Duke or Owen Turton Wald figures it out that turn, attacks with 3 creatures and wins that game, never gets to a game 3, you know? So I think one of the most important things in general in your growth as a Magic player is to have the ability to try and never say, you know, oh, what is, you know, like never get into that mode, you know, and just always analyze your games and look for those spots. Those spots are hard to see, you know, and there's going to be times where there weren't context clues and maybe you couldn't figure it out. I think that time was, though. And by thinking about it positively and by thinking about it constructively, we can hopefully find that spot and then figure it out. All right. Good hand here. Let's finish strong. We've had some rough ones so far today. Let's go. Nice looting. Some dredgers. We have pretty interesting choices here. We say we have 3 cards you want in the graveyard. Loam also. Okay, so we're going to discard. This is a spot where it's a little bit tempting to just discard the Bloodghast and the Amalgam, but 5 power and play on turn 2. But that's usually wrong, I think. I'm pretty sure it's Amalgam Stinkweed Imp. We obviously want to dredge next turn. And the Amalgam is the highest payoff if we dredge into a Narcomoeba or a Bloodghast. So the Bloodghast itself is more to get the Amalgam in than anything else. I don't think our opponent knows how good that is against us. Turning off our green source is so huge. I guess maybe I should have led on Blood Crypt, but I did not consider the fact that our land would turn into an island. I guess realistically, yes, I should have led on Blood Crypt there. That was an error. All right, let's Dredge. Our options are going to be a little more limited now. I assume they're playing Merfolk, obviously, which is the only deck in the world that would play Seize Claim. Let's triple Amalgam. All right. Well, let's play Shriekhorn here, and let's see if we can't find a Narcomoeba or a Bloodghast. We did not. Now the question is, do I play this land or not? I think the answer is no, because without a green source, we can't cast Loam. If I play this land, I'm not going to have any more land drops. So we have 3 Bloodghast in our deck. I want to have the ability to return Bloodghast and the Amalgams next turn. We're going to hold on to this land, and we're going to say go. Gotta love Modern, right? You know, you just gotta love it. If you don't love it, you'll hate it. Alright, so upkeep, we are going to Dredge before we Shriekhorn. We got 7 cards to find a Bloodghast or a Narcomoeba. Nope, nothing there. How about here? Nope. Alright, well, like I said, without green, we're locked out. So we are going to say go. Next turn, we could Dredge Thug instead of Imp because we can cast it. We can't block it. We can't block anyways. It doesn't matter. All right, that is a Mirror Rejury. We are eventually going to need to put these Amalgams in play. And again, this is actually just unbelievably devastating. I mean, by not playing the Blood Crypt on turn 1, I have probably lost us this game 10 ways till Sunday. If we could cast Life from a Loam, like the last 2 turns, this game would be comically easy. We'd have access to Conflagrate. We'd have access to all of our stuff. But right now, we have access to nothing because we don't have green mana. Creeping Chill. Well, the Chill is great. We still haven't hit our Bloodghast or Narcomoeba until now. Thank God. All right. So now these all come back. And now we're going to do, and they have Island Walk, it doesn't really matter. We're going to play, we're going to Shock. And we're going to play a Narcomoeba off of our island. And next turn we can Dredge a Thug. And that can block, maybe, if I don't play another Lord. And put the Narcomoeba back on top of our deck and re-Dredge and so on and so forth. But we got to hope that the triple Amalgam here is enough. God, Seize Claim. Oh my God. Minute mistakes, you know. You play the Stomping Ground first there, it's not going to matter 99% of your matches. But the 1% when they have Seize Claim on turn 1, you really get punished. Master of Waves. Untap Island. Make a bunch of doofers. What's the saying? If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Oh yeah, I don't think we can win anymore. Yeah, I think we just attack. I mean, we don't really have good blocks. It's interesting. That's, yeah, we're just super dead. Okay. Yeah, I think we would have won that game easily if I played Blood Crypt on turn 1. We missed 3 turns of land drops. That would have been Loams. We had a Loam back lands, had Suffolk Conflagrate, and won the game easily. That is that's a tough pill to swallow. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Lightning Axe, Darkblast. I'm cool with Grudge. and I want their hate's going to be based on Relic or Grafdigger's Cage probably. So we're going to cut the. I don't think this is a chill matchup either. And it feels weird. It's like so it's like, Jim, why do you keep boarding this card out if this card's so good in the deck? The thing is that once you sideboard, the deck has to slow down. You know, you often used to shave like one Bloodghast, shave one Narcomoeba, shave the cards that are dead if you draw them and things aren't going right. And chill is the epitome of that card. So I'd rather slow down, have more interaction, and play a more fair game. All right, I want these reclaims. We're gonna cut some Shriekhorns. I'm gonna cut one Thug. That's 61. I'll cut one more Shriekhorn, I guess. All right. Axe, Darkblast, Thug. This hand is not great, but it has Darkblast on turn 1. It has Lightning Axe. It has Thug. It's got Dredgers. It's got 3 lands. It has green lands. I'm going to keep. I'm not thrilled, but I'm going to keep. And we're going to lead on Bloodstained Mire so they can't seize claim us. Curse Catcher. Oh, kill me. All right. I'm just going to leave it. I can't seize claim or spreading seize my Bloodstained Mire, so... We could kill our Thug here. Like, play Thug. The intention of Dark Blasting on our upkeep. That's pretty bad. Just gonna say good. We could also get a Steam Vents and cast Narcomoeba. Merfolk of the Pearl, or Master of the Pearl Trident. Alright. The ball gets to get rolling here at least, so we are going to Axe Thug. We're going to get a land first so they can't Relic our Thug. I wish to ask you a question. All right. Good Dredge here. Imp. Looting is good. I could buy Looting. Alright, let's try and just get some stuff in play and get ahead of this Relic a little bit. Here we go. Dredge Imp. Dredge Imp. Bloodghast. No Narcomoebas. Just brutal. Discard Thug. That's a pretty juicy graveyard to Relic, unfortunately. And then we're back at square one with Stinkweed Imps and a Darkblast. They're going to let us go to our turn? No way. I'm just going to draw a card. Okay. Well, we can get back our Bloodghast. If they let us. They are going to let us. Triggers the Amalgam, so they have to Amalgam end step, and we'll just play Stinkweed Imp, and so you go. This is fine. Worse things have happened. Now they have to Relic end step to prevent the Amalgam coming back. I Darkblast the Silvergill Adept. We have Dredge cards and a Bloodghast, and we're back on the train again, sort of. All right. Okay, Darkblast. I think we didn't mill our one Blood Crypt out of the deck. Double Master. All right, Dredge Darkblast. Always yes. So Bloodghast hanging out in there. I mean, not exactly ideal. Got to find a Loam. I mean, we're out of stuff to do for the most part. We need to find more stuff to do. But we're just gonna have to act with both these. We're playing an Imp anyway, so. Fancy Island. Marrow Regery. Perhaps I could have left the Stinkweed Imp back. Alright, well, they only have 4 5/5s in play, so we got them right where we want them, and we drew a life from a Loam. Or dredged a life from a Loam. Alright. Probably dead, but yep. That'll do it. That will do it. Alright, so I mean, obviously going 1-4 in a league is not very satisfying. You know, I'm here to tell you that this deck is sweet, and you go 1-4, you don't feel like your deck is sweet. But I think one of the important things, a few takeaways here. One of them is that Magic Online adapts very, very fast. We put against main deck relics. We put against Scavenging Ooze, Anger, Bajuka Bog, Relic. What else we play against? A lot of stuff. The one deck that didn't have hate, we destroyed. We beat humans really badly. And part of playing Dredge is signing up to beat hate. I think we were leveraging our gameplay against the hate pretty well. But we had some pretty awkward hands. We had some awkward games. We had multiple games where things just like didn't break, where we probably could have played around Settle if we thought about it and won the game and didn't. That game won there against the Merfolk deck. If I had played the Blood Crypt first and got that Seize claimed, and then I would have been able to cast Life from a Loam and won the game easily. But we played Stomping Ground first. That's a 1%er kind of mistake that bit me. So we had some rough spots. We had some mulligans. We had some, things didn't go ideally. And in some ways, that's sort of why I'd recommend this deck. So what does that mean, Jim? Modern's a format where you want to go 0-3, win the tournament, 0-3, win the tournament. You don't want to necessarily play a deck that is going to just go, 6-3 at every tournament. You want to make day 2, you want to win the tournament, you want to top 8 the tournament, and that's usually the count against decks like Jund or Jeskai or kind of these decks that are just playing very fair, and they have, they don't really have any great matchups, they don't have any bad matchups, they kind of just float. And if you're a good player, you're likely to go 6-3. Obviously, you can do better for sure. You're never going to go worse than like 5-4 or 4-5 if you're a good player, but it's hard to do better either. Whereas a deck like this, the inherent power is so high. This is a deck that can easily 9-0, or it's a deck that also can 1-3 drop. And I think that sort of volatility is sort of like what embracing Modern is about. and putting a lot of power in your deck and letting it rip. A lot of power in this deck. Wasn't really on display in this league, I'm not going to lie. We had some pretty awkward hands, putting us a lot of hate. But Crippling Chill does add a very good element to the deck. Again, don't be dissuaded by the fact that we boarded it out a lot. This is definitely a game 1 card, not necessarily a game 2 and 3 card. Doesn't mean a card is bad. I do think we're playing too many, though. I think that 3 is probably the correct number. I'd probably add a main deck Darkblast over the 4th copy to give us 1 extra Dredge effect. Also opens up a sideboard slot, which is nice, and then just gives the deck a little more consistency. And only 7 cards we don't want to draw in our opening hand. We have an extra Dredger, so our mulligans are better, and things like that. As far as the sideboard, not too much I would change, honestly. And we used most of our cards. We obviously didn't use Leyline or Ghost Quarter, so we didn't play against those matchups. But I think the mixture of Claims, Trophy, and 1 Grudge is good. I like only 1 Grudge because the first one is so good because you see half your deck every game. Second one is often redundant, rather than just have a Nature's Claim. But, yeah, I digress. So, overall, I think that, this deck has been destroying Magic Online. This deck has been everywhere. It was like 9 of the top 32 decks last weekend in a Modern Challenge. Again, Magic Online moves very quickly, so everyone's very prepared for it. Paper Magic moves much more slowly. So I would not be surprised if this weekend in SG Dallas Fort Worth, this is kind of a deck that's like starting to break out because people are starting to realize it in paper. But even then, people are slow to adapt. So, online, it might be wise to put it down for a week, or two, let the crazy over-exaggeration of hate dry down, and then pick it up again later. In paper, I think it's just safe to pick up at any point. But deck is really, really powerful and very resilient, and it basically only loses to dedicated graveyard hate. How much is there? We're not sure. But that's going to do it, my friends. Hope you enjoyed the deck. Once again, this is Creeping Chill Dredge. My name is Jim Davis, CoolStuffInc.com. My videos are up every Monday. My articles go up every Friday. It's my new home, first video. And I'm going to talk to Evan Irwin about that first video jinx. All right? Because that's probably the only reasonable explanation we didn't do well in this video. Right? Probably. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you guys next time, and have a good one. And look for me more on CoolStuffInc.com.